Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Horror Squash in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I publicly humiliated my wife at her workplace after discovering her affair." I don't even know where to begin. My wife, Leah, and I have been married for 10 years. We have two beautiful children, our 5-year-old son and our 2-year-old daughter. I thought we were happy, or at least I thought we were trying. But 4 weeks ago, my entire life came crashing down. I started to notice she was glued to her phone more than usual. Leah has always been private, but this was different. She'd smile at her screen, then immediately lock it when I walked into the room. One night after she fell asleep, I couldn't resist. I checked her phone. What I found still makes me sick to my stomach. There were messages with a co-worker, Eric, going back years. Explicit texts, photos, promises of love, even references to secret trips they'd taken while I was at home with the kids, believing she was working late. My heart was racing, my hands trembling. I confronted her the next morning. At first, she denied it, said I was misunderstanding, but when I read her the messages out loud, her face crumbled. She admitted it. She said it started 4 years ago, long before our youngest was born. She tried to justify it. You were distant, we were struggling. But nothing could excuse this. I started digging deeper. I followed her to work one day, needing to see it for myself. Sure enough, after her shift, she walked out arm in arm with Eric. They didn't even try to hide it. They got into his car and drove off. I followed them to a restaurant where they sat like a happy couple, laughing, holding hands. It broke me, but what shattered me completely was when I learned they'd built their own life together. They'd been renting an apartment near work, a place where she'd go when she was working overtime. I saw them go inside, watching them from my car parked on the street a few blocks away. I checked on them for about 4 nights, and they had the same routine. That's when I snapped. I packed all of her belongings, everything she owned, into the back of my car and drove to her workplace the next morning after spying on them. I know I did wrong. When she walked out, I dumped everything right there on the sidewalk in front of her and her co-workers. I told her she wasn't coming home. Since then, I filed for divorce and am fighting for full custody of the kids. She's begging me to forgive her, saying she doesn't want to lose the family we built. But how can I? Friends and family keep asking me if I regret how I handled it, publicly humiliating her, kicking her out without notice. I do. She tore our family apart, and the least she could do is face some accountability, but I can't help but feel like the bad guy for how I acted. I have had nights where I felt very lonely, and I miss her. Of course, I am also attending therapy sessions to be better for the kids and for myself. All I care about are them. They don't deserve this chaos, and as much as it hurts, I know they are better off with me than someone who could live a lie for so long. Am I the asshole? Update. Thanks to everyone who commented on my original post. I wanted to share an update about where things stand now. For those asking how I didn't notice her affair for 4 years, it's because Leah was always incredibly private. She was adamant about boundaries and would shut me down if I asked too many questions. She handled the rent, utilities, and her own expenses, while I covered groceries, the kids' school costs, internet, water, and anything extra. She claimed it was fair since we both worked, and I didn't push because I trusted her and didn't want to create unnecessary conflict. Looking back, I can see how I missed the signs, but at the time, I didn't think questioning her was necessary. After finding out about her affair, I had DNA tests done for both kids. My son is biologically mine, but my daughter isn't. That was a tough pill to swallow, but it doesn't change anything for me. I've been her father in every way that matters, and I love her like my own. I believe the person who raises a child is their real parent, and no court is going to convince me otherwise. Right now, I'm in the middle of the legal process. The divorce itself hasn't been finalized yet, but I've made it clear that I'm fighting for full custody of both kids. I've explained to the court why I believe Leah isn't fit to have primary custody. Her betrayal wasn't just a personal one. It shows a complete disregard for the stability and well-being of our family. The court process is slow, and so far we've only had preliminary hearings. I've provided evidence of her infidelity and the double life she led, and I've asked for a full psychological evaluation for both of us to ensure the best decision is made for the kids. I'm also working on showing the court that I've been the primary caregiver emotionally and financially. My lawyer has told me it's a tough battle, especially since courts often lean toward joint custody, but I'm not backing down. To those who said my story sounded fake, I get it. This is the kind of nightmare you think only happens in movies or to someone else. I wouldn't believe it either if I wasn't living it. All I can say is, I hope you never go through something like this. It destroys everything you thought you knew about your life. For now, I'm staying focused on my kids and doing everything I can to give them a stable and loving home. They're the only good thing to come out of all this, and I won't let them down. Thank you for your support. It means more than you know. Houndstooth Reader said he confronted her and she admitted it and tried to justify herself. After that, he followed her for days and found her very publicly carrying out her affair as if nothing was wrong and he hadn't just confronted her. Over the 5 weeks from discovery through confrontation, following her around, gathering evidence, filing for divorce, taking paternity tests, posting and updating 8 days later, he's somehow in the middle of the legal process of a contested divorce with young children and a custody battle. The divorce hasn't been finalized yet because the court process is slow, but they've already had multiple preliminary hearings with the court. I don't know if I'd say that's slow. It seems pretty fast to me to have already had multiple hearings only a few weeks after filing. OP must live in a place with an organized court system and little backlog. This next post was made in the true Off My Chest subreddit by a user named Money Juggernaut. The post is titled, "My husband's girl best friend is pregnant and she says it's his. I met my husband when I was 22 and he was 25. We hit it off instantly. He was the man of my dreams. He took me on date nights, made sure I felt loved, and gave me big gifts every so often, telling me I was the only one for him. I believe this since we have been together for 4 years now. And I've never had any issues until he introduced his best friend, who we will call Laura for privacy reasons. I remember we had an argument because he hadn't told me about her during our whole relationship, and he had been sneaking out to see her and hang out with her at parties when I was sleeping, believing he was working overtime. I was hurt by this, and my first thought immediately went to infidelity, but I found all of their texts to be platonic after he willingly told me to look. At first, I thought she was nice since when I first met her, she spoke to me politely and said how lucky I was for about a week until there was a get-together. My husband invited me along because it was her mother's anniversary, and her family loved my husband because they had known each other since they were kids. I was okay with this and quite excited since I wanted to make more female friends and have girls' nights out to relieve my work stress. My job is difficult and I make 6 figures. I should also mention my husband works in an office job that doesn't pay a lot, so I handle all of the house bills and chores while he is trying to get another job. I walked into the house with my husband and Laura ran to him happily, immediately wrapping her whole body around his arm and dragging him off to the garden. He didn't even come to get me or anything after being dragged away, so I went to the kitchen to ask for a drink, where I was greeted by Laura's mother. She is a lovely person. We generally had a nice talk about our own lives and she made sure I felt welcome. The whole gathering was mainly nothing special until dinner. I sat down next to my husband and Laura walked up to me and asked me to move. I asked why, since the only other spot available was next to her uncle and mother, and since it was about her mother, wouldn't she want to sit next to her? Laura replied, "'Cause I want to sit next to him." I turned to my husband who just nodded and told me to move as well, saying that I was being childish and making a scene. At this point, I genuinely felt my blood boiling. I stood up and told my husband that I felt uncomfortable and needed to go to the bathroom and asked where it was. Laura told me, and I left the table doing breathing exercises trying to calm down. I ended up messaging my brother from the bathroom and he said I was being jealous and overreacting, so I agreed and went back to the table to sit next to Laura's mother. The whole time they were laughing and it seemed that everything he said was funny to her. She kept rubbing his back, touching his arms, and saying how strong he had gotten, and she would look at me smugly. The breaking point was when I put a bit of meat onto my plate and she said, "Are you really going to eat all of that?" I froze in embarrassment while my husband and she laughed. Her mother stood up for me, saying that was inappropriate and that guests should be treated with respect, but Laura ignored it. Laura is very pretty and slim and works out, so coming from her, it hurt a lot. I stood up from my chair and walked out the front door and called my dad. I told him to pick me up and that I would explain why in the car. When I got in the car, I broke down and told him everything. He said I was most likely overreacting, but the situation was very odd and that I was welcome to stay with him for the time being. I thanked him and went back to our house. While I was getting comfortable, my phone flooded with messages from my husband and Laura. I read the messages and to my horror, my husband was saying I ruined the whole dinner and that he was going to stay there for the night. I then read what Laura said, saying I had ruined her night because of my pick-me behavior. After doing research on that phrase, it only filled me with more anger. My husband came home around 5 p.m. from Laura's and I immediately said that leaving me and staying at another woman's house was disgusting. He started shouting that I was overreacting again and that I needed counseling for my jealousy issues. For about a month, everything was going okay again, apart from the fact that my husband got more distant and cold, and I could feel that our argument wedged a gap in our marriage, until I got a message from Laura this morning with a positive pregnancy result and a threat saying we should get divorced because it's my husband's. I don't know what to do, and I'm just venting because I feel awful and like I failed as a wife. I don't know if I should confront my husband, but I'm thinking about it. Edit, I'm getting a lot of hate and death threats, so I'll clear up some allegations. I'm 26, not 22. I met my husband when I was 22. I haven't confronted him because he's not home yet, and I'm contemplating calling and asking there, but he hasn't replied to my good morning text since he woke up before me and went to work. My dad owns a company that works with care homes. I'm not going to say much about it for my safety, and that's how I make my money. No, I wasn't earning six figures at 22, but I am now at 26. No, my dad wasn't against me. He was just confused because I was crying to him and wasn't making much sense, so he thought she was just being a bit touchy. No, Laura wasn't at our wedding, and I have doubts they are childhood friends. I plan on messaging her mother to ask if they have known each other for as long as they say, and I'll be confronting my husband tomorrow when he gets home. Update. First of all, I want to say how thankful I am for all the love and support I have received. The advice has helped me so much. It has really made me understand where I stand in my relationship, and I finally know what I'm going to do. Now, for the story, my husband came home around 6 a.m., threw his keys on the side, and went upstairs without saying anything to me. I thought this was a little rude, so I walked up after him, telling him we needed to talk. But he said he was tired and needed to sleep, which just made me angry because I was serious. I told him halfway up the stairs that I knew about him and Laura, to which he then looked at me confused. I explained my side and the text and what it seemed like, and he ended up laughing in my face. This filled me with so much petty rage because I have had enough of being walked on. So I pushed past him into our room, got a suitcase from under the bed, and started to pack his stuff for him. He started shouting at me, saying really horrible things, but I didn't hear most of it since I was crying uncontrollably and busy ramming every item of clothing he owned into the suitcase. Most of it didn't fit, but he could come collect it later. One insult that stood out to me was crazy bitch, and this is where I snapped and said some horrible things too. I know I called him a bad husband, but in a ruder tone. He ended up leaving with the suitcase I packed and a plastic bag after I said I would get my dad involved if he didn't leave. Afterward, I took a recommended comment and told my family everything. My brother didn't care, but my father was so angry there might have been steam coming from the phone after the call. I haven't heard from my soon-to-be ex-husband, but his response to my question was complete disrespect, and I wasn't able to hold it in for much longer. I'm sure what I did was a complete overreaction and was regretting it until I texted Laura's mother since I said I would do that. She didn't reply until 11 a.m., but basically what happened is that she only met my husband 2 years ago, which I'm guessing is during the time of constant overtime from him. He is also staying there currently. This made me so angry that I texted Laura something petty, which I don't regret. I hadn't replied to her yet, so I told her that she can have him, and I can't wait until the same things happen to her and she gets cheated on. She hasn't replied yet or seen it. I have screenshotted everything she said and the picture and will be calling a lawyer later on. Nothing else has really happened. If it does, I will give another update. Thanks everyone. Edit. Sorry for bad grammar, I haven't slept very well and I'm about to go for a long needed sleep. Small update, my husband messaged and I ignored it. Laura left me on read. My husband messaged that he is sorry and wants to come home and needs to talk about Laura's message. Not sure what he's going to say about it, but I'm going to message him back to meet me somewhere because I don't want him in my house right now. Not sure what he's going to say, but I'm ready for the lies and gaslighting. Love you all. Edit, I'm really disappointed in Reddit. I thought this could be a post event and have men and women help, give advice, and listen to me so I can finally feel like I'm being heard. I'm getting a lot of sexist comments and people spamming me saying I'm scummy for lying and that they will find me. If you are one of these people, please leave me alone. Yes, I have left out some information and I'm not updating immediately, but I've been so tired these past 2 days and I really do not have the ability nor resistance to keep typing up massive updates. I need a rest, and when I meet my husband, I will give one last update for the people who are supporting me and giving me amazing advice. You guys are so sweet and I appreciate you a lot. I took some time off work to figure stuff out, but I'm not looking forward to the amount piled up from my missed days. Love you all and I wish you all the best, especially the people who went through what I'm going through now. Update 2. I have no idea how to start this. I'm at a loss for words. I feel generally sick and this is the lowest point I think I've recently hit mentally. I'm going to try to be punctual, but I cannot stop crying and I feel so betrayed. Thank you all for the support and love you have given me. It has motivated me to tell everyone what has happened. Laura called me early in the morning, not sure why so late, but I wasn't doing much anyway. I was replying to comments and cleaning the kitchen, swallowing in self-pity. Pathetic, I know. She was shouting at me, calling me out for cheating on my husband first, and saying my hypocrisy was laughable. I was genuinely mortified since I've never done that. I asked her what she meant, and apparently my husband, the man who's supposed to back me up and love me unconditionally, told her a huge sob story lie. Apparently, in our argument, he told her I hit him out of a jealous rage and threw his stuff out the window, which is why he left. I told her I was the one who kicked him out and he didn't leave on his own accord. She didn't believe me and told me the whole reason she behaved the way she did was to teach me not to cheat. She said my husband was a good man and that if I continued, another woman would take him better than me. But in the end, she decided to end it for him by sending me the messages. She agreed what she did was childish and confessed to only liking him platonically and doing him a favor because of all the horrible stuff I had done. I believe this was so she would take him in. I have no clue why he would lie about something this serious. After he was there for a while, she told her mother the same story he told her, and her mother has blocked me currently. I showed her the message my husband sent, and after countless back and forth with her, we ended up agreeing to meet and that I should cancel meeting up with my husband. She's conflicted at this point since I told her the lies were fake. She also said that my husband told her I knew about her after she saw him and me on a Facebook post. I'm guessing she did some snooping and my husband wasn't very private online, so she asked why I was never mentioned and he said the conversation never came up. That's where the lies began, I'm guessing. The day he didn't come home till 5 was because she told him she was going to send a picture of her friend's old pregnancy test to me and pretend it was hers so he could not continue being treated like that. He actually went to her instead of going home to be confronted and hoped it would all blow over in the morning. Laura also confessed that he tried to entice her into having sex with him, which she said no to and thought was a little odd. I'm guessing this caused her to call me since that moment was a red flag to her. She was still on his side, but wanted to hear my side before she blocked me. I want nothing to do with him, and even the thought of him fills me with hate. I've never met a man so disgusting. I have never once laid hands on my husband, and the allegations completely disrespect people who are actually stuck in those spousal situations. I don't know how much more I can put up with this, and everything is really getting to me. I'm genuinely sick and will certainly not be meeting him. I want nothing to do with him, but hopefully we'll meet Laura to properly explain the truth. I doubt anything else interesting will happen, just boring legal stuff. If it does, I most likely won't make another update since I'm feeling mentally drained. Thank you everyone. Edit. I have given up trying to block trolls. I'm just going to reply to them and hope they delete their comments or don't reply anymore. Miss Spider Monkey said, pretty hilarious of Laura to accuse OP of pick-me behavior. A deleted user said OP's husband and his best friend are both among the most unintelligent people. His best friend's thinking is that of a 5-year-old, trying to teach another person a lesson without fact-checking first. OP's husband is trash. I hope OP leaves her husband and OP's best friend realizes how her best friend made her look like a dumb person. She needs to broaden her mind enough not to get fooled by others. Tay, the kid said, the husband is evil as hell for causing all this nonsense, and Laura is weird too. This post was made in the marriage subreddit by a user named Heisa. The post is titled, "My wife of 7 years is leaving me for someone she has known for 3 months." A slight preface, my wife and her brother were very close when they were young. He got very into alcohol, went to prison for 10 years, went immediately back to drinking, then died in front of her. My wife and I started going to the gym together. We loved the results of the fitness. It made sex even better, and we couldn't keep our hands off each other. We felt as happy and close as ever. 3 weeks after her brother died, a guy chatted her up at the gym and she immediately clicked with him. I was wary, but I trusted my wife. She is a sweetheart and I never imagined her having the ability to have an affair. Last weekend, we had one of the most romantic days and evenings we have had in a while. This week, she decided that she cannot go on without finding out why she developed such a quick connection with this guy. We own a house and 3 pets. Her family and everyone we know are devastated and blown away, but she is dead serious. The woman I knew last week even, has left the building. This is a living nightmare that I just want to wake up from. We did couples counseling 3 times and have one scheduled on Wednesday, but she has completely made up her mind and seems to have rapidly fallen out of love with me. My life as I had known it is over. I just needed to get this all off my chest. Edit. Wow. Thank you everybody for the responses. I did not expect such an outpouring of support. I am reading every comment. Update. I had a kind Redditor reach out to me over the weekend asking how I was doing regarding the above situation. The original post got a lot of attention, so I figured I would give an update. My wife filed for divorce a month after moving out. During this time, I did the whole online dating thing, which was way worse than I could have ever expected. I kept myself busy working out, building my own confidence, and hanging out with friends. In general, it was horrible, but I was trying to keep my head up. I was in therapy. I didn't jive with my first therapist. Found a new one in December who I liked a lot more and am still seeing her. Mid-December, my wife called me, crying, asking if she could stay in the guest bedroom because she had nowhere to go. I said yes, even though she hurt me so badly, I did still love her. So things with the guy at the gym turned very toxic very fast. I know the word narcissist gets thrown around a lot these days, but this guy though, it's hard to believe these subhuman pieces of trash actually exist. So she stayed in the guest bedroom for a week, then went and stayed at her parents' for a month. She had a nervous breakdown and was able to get a medical leave of absence from her work. Mid-January came around and she was back at the house, but still in a very frantic and erratic state. Sort of like she was withdrawing from hard drugs. I had no idea about the addictive nature of toxic relationships. It's a psychological cluster. She was clear that she was too messed up in the head to be in a relationship and was going to work on herself. I gave her the time and space she requested. She went all in on learning about the psychology of all of this. Inner child work, how the nervous system reacts and attracts you to toxic people if you grew up in a toxic household, anxious and avoidant attachment styles. There is this book called How to Stay Married where the wife had an affair and it turns out the root of the issue was her unresolved childhood trauma. Long story short, the same thing happened here. It hurts, but I can forgive her. She is my best friend and we are insanely compatible in a lot of ways. She has really been returning to herself the past month. She is the happiest I've seen her in at least a year, and last week we filed the paperwork to dismiss the divorce. We are both in individual counseling and soon to start couples therapy. I am sure a lot of people will think I am making a mistake in reconciling, but I am happy. I do trust her that she now has the knowledge not to let this happen again, and that she has the drive to become the best person she can be. Edit. I am reading all the comments and taking everything to heart, especially the ones calling me stupid, chump, doormat. I completely understand where you are coming from. I just don't have time or desire to respond to so much. I want things to work out and do trust my gut that this was a one-time thing. I will post an update and take all of the I told you so if it comes to that. Update 2. Go ahead if you want to read my post and comment history about the shit show my life has been the last 365 days. My self-esteem is shattered again, and I really don't know what to think. My wife and I were together for 12 years, and I thought we had a great sex life, 3 to 4 times a week. It felt very passionate. She always talked about how good I was at pleasing her. She always came. She left me for someone she knew for 90 days, and they lasted 5 months. I tried to salvage a relationship of 12 years. Things were decent, but the passion was gone, and she was clearly hung up on the fact that her knight in shining armor wasn't who she thought he was. It was making me hate myself staying with her, so I finally left. Today, she told me that the main reason we were not able to rekindle things is that sex with the other guy was mind-blowing, and that she can't be in a romantic relationship that doesn't have that level of intensity. I don't know how I'm supposed to process this. Mithrine said, I'm sure this was said to OP, but the mind-blowing sex part? Yeah, that's just the new thing Rush, and that's it. The guy could absolutely be great, but what made it better was the newness of it all. To this competitive trick said, sex with toxic people can also be amazing. It's what keeps one coming back. Then to this Miss Bean said, yep, you see he's a DJ or deals weed, works a dead-end job if he works, has a dodgy mattress on the floor or on a pleather bed frame, and you know you're going to have the best time. And you'll probably hate yourself later. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.